here's Brody Brazil.
You know, the timing of all this is so crazy. It's equally unfortunate if you're a hockey fan in the Valley and all you want is your team back. I made a video yesterday and put it out about the Coyotes and their situation and the land auction that was supposed to be right around the corner, all the different steps in this process, this very detailed process, to make the Coyotes an active NHL franchise all over again. Technically, right now, they still do exist. They're just inactive, but if their owner, Alex Meruelo, does all the right things in a certain sequence, he's guaranteed by the league to get the team back. However, there was one major hitch in the process. Like I said yesterday, I put out a video. Several hours later, the Arizona State Land Department decided to cancel that land auction, which the team was desperately trying to win so that they could build that project, get their arena, and in turn, get their franchise active all over again. First thing I want to do here is set the scene of what exactly has been happening leading up to this point, how we got here. The Coyotes announced that site and that project north of the Loop 101, just north of Scottsdale and right to the west of North Scottsdale Road. They announced that. They actually leaked it, I think, in February 2024, but then they officially announced it with renderings and images and descriptions officially in March 2024. Infamously, in April, the Coyotes lost their team. The Arizona fan base lost their team. Alex Meruelo sold the team to the NHL, which then turned around and sold it to the Smith Entertainment Group. Ryan and Ashley Smith now own the Utah Hockey Club up in Salt Lake City. And a couple weeks ago, the Coyotes officially terminated their entire hockey staff and business staff. Largely expected, right? If you have no team, you really have no business and you don't need those employees. But the severance package was a little bit light. One extra paycheck, healthcare for only one additional month of July. It just wasn't customary in the sports world. And usually dedication type jobs like this, you usually get a little bit more of a severance out of it. But anyway, the biggest thing people were looking forward to was this land auction, June 27th. It's the site that the team had their eyes on for, I guess, about a year's time. They had a lot of plans and ambitions. They kept it quiet for a long time. Then at the turn of the calendar year into 2024, it all kind of came out, was announced and released. And it was so important to Alex Meruelo because if he gets this land or some land somewhere and somehow, some way starts building an arena within the next 5 years, gets the Coyotes a new home, he's guaranteed an expansion-style franchise in the NHL, technically getting his Coyotes back and making them an active franchise all over again. So you understand why getting some land is a huge part and a huge step in this process to getting an arena, to getting your team back. It's one thing that leads to the next, that leads to the next. But if you can't get the first thing, the next things are definitely not coming your way. Well, here's the problem. As of yesterday, and a couple hours after I put out this video, like I said, detailing the challenges and the process, the Arizona State Land Department, they went ahead and canceled that land auction for that certain spot, that certain plot of land. Here's what they said. After much consideration, the Arizona State Land Department has determined that it is in the best interest of the trust to cancel the auction and reorder the steps. ASLD, the Arizona State Land Department, recently confirmed that the proposed arena use will require a special use permit. And as a result, we are requesting that the applicant, the Coyotes, file for and receive a special use permit prior to the auction. This affords the applicant and ASLD certainty that the applicant can build what it intends to build for its anchor tenant. It is not uncommon for ASLD to require applicants to secure zoning and use permits prior to auction. We understand the delay in an auction is a disappointment for our applicant and members of the public, but the change in timing is the prudent decision for the trust. ASLD remains open to working with our applicant to bring the land forward to auction in the future if a special use permit is received. Let me just go over that last part again one more time because I think it's super important. ASLD remains open to working with the applicant to bring the land forward to auction in the future if that special use permit is received. So it kind of at least ends on good terms. Unlike the Coyotes statement, which is the only thing they put out. Meruelo didn't talk. Nobody spoke from the team of, I guess, the employees that are left surrounding the team. But they did put out this statement via Twitter. Today, after over a year of planning and meeting every obligation required under Arizona law, the Arizona State Land Department unilaterally canceled the auction that was scheduled to occur on June 27th for the site that has been identified as the future home of the Arizona Coyotes. This unprecedented action by the state of Arizona seriously jeopardizes the future of NHL hockey returning to the desert. As was announced in an April press conference by Coyotes owner Alex Meruelo and NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, the site of North Scottsdale Road and the 101 was identified as ideally suited to build a 110-acre mixed-use development anchored by a state-of-the-art arena to serve as the home of the Coyotes. It has been made very clear to the state of Arizona that the Coyotes are fully committed to building out the infrastructure, going through the necessary approvals, and developing the site into a world-class destination. Yet the ASLD has canceled the auction despite the objections of the Coyotes less than a week before the scheduled auction time. The organization has worked in good faith with ASLD and has been on track to win the auction next week until the sudden reversal by ASLD today. By canceling the land auction, the state is foregoing millions and potentially billions of dollars that would have gone directly to K-12 education. By investing in the infrastructure of this site, the Coyotes would have unlocked over 2,000 acres of state land for development that would have returned $2 billion, over $2 billion, to Arizona schools, created thousands of construction and permanent jobs, and created a new significant tax base to support the future growth of our state. The Arizona Coyotes are exploring all of our legal options given this short-sighted decision by the state. So the guilt trips about the education money, the tax money, and the revenue that the site would have generated. The Coyotes are saying they had everything in order. They thought everything was going well. They talked about kind of being blindsided by all of this. And now they're exploring all of their legal options, like they're threatening a lawsuit, I suppose, or some type of legal action to make sure that this land auction does happen and does happen quickly. Greg Wyshynski, who covers hockey, obviously, friend of the program, friend of the channel, Greg Wyshynski. We've had him on here within the last couple months. Here's what he's saying about this situation. Multiple sources tell ESPN that the Arizona land auction issue is related to the kind of hockey arena that Alex Meruelo could build there. The Coyotes said the land was already zoned for an indoor hockey arena, except that was for youth hockey, not a 17,000-seat NHL arena. So there are some questions here. There is some confusion here. This all came out of nowhere. And then, the land department was pretty straightforward and didn't have to say much. They gave their reasoning. They said they're still willing to work with the applicant. They're still willing to make this auction happen. They just need the permits before they do the sale. Understandably so. But the Coyotes came across as being obviously very upset, very frustrated in the moment. My question about the land department is this. Do they absolutely need these permits before the land auction and the sale? Or do they just want these permits because they know the history of the Coyotes? They know the fact that this is arena site number, 3 or 4? And they've gone through this process and they've struggled pretty much every time, everywhere that they've gone. Is the state just saying, hey, we need to make sure you're actually going to do this before we sell you this land or get into some type of headache scenario or situation? My question is that because if the land department actually needs it, then okay. If they want it, that's fine, but that's also a sign of their distrust of Coyotes owner Alex Meruelo and the Coyotes organization. And the other part about it is, when was that made clear? Did they just make it clear today? And the Coyotes were like, well, we didn't know about this. And the state says, well, we're telling you about this and we're going to just push this off. If the state had alerted the Coyotes to this long ago, that they needed the permits and they needed all the the T's crossed and the I's dotted a long time ago before the auction. The Coyotes just kind of slacked on it or slept on it. Oh my goodness, what a mistake that would be by the hockey team. And again, we kind of get into the situation here of sports teams are not developers. Like, they build rosters, they sell tickets, they sell merchandise, they try and win hockey games. In this case, yet another sports franchise that's trying to be a land developer, buying real estate, developing things. I realize that is in the background of some owners of sports teams, but the teams themselves are not necessarily suited and equipped for projects like these to be prepared for situations just like this. So when was it made clear that the state was going to need all the approvals before the sale? If it's been a while, that's the Coyotes' fault. If the state is just springing this on the Coyotes and they really were blindsided, then I understand it a little more both ways. But shouldn't all of this have been squared away a long time ago by the Coyotes? If you're going into this business of buying this land, and this is so important, this is literally you having a franchise or not, wouldn't you have somebody on your side to make sure that they've gone through this before, they know what to expect, they're ahead of the curve, they're 2 steps ahead of the process? Seems like the Coyotes don't have that at all. And obviously their reaction was pretty intense. They got heated. They threatened exploring their legal opportunities. They talked about how the state's going to get shorted on tax money and how basically they were just so frustrated by this. And maybe that's true, but you can be frustrated and be right about something, or you can be frustrated because you messed something up and you were wrong about something. So it goes both ways there. And it really brings me back to this. I mean, you hear so much about the reputation of the Coyotes and the way they've operated that maybe there's just this growing distrust in working with the Meruelo family and trying to build a new arena and a project of this size and scope. This is not just a hockey arena. This is a 100-plus acre development, multiple billions of dollars in cost and in dreaming this up. This is not a small thing. This is so huge. They cannot afford to get this wrong. And so it brings me to the ultimate point here. If the process just to identify this land was wasted for a year, like, is it going to take another year to find another potential site and have no absolute certainty that they'll get the next one? And remember, the time and the clock are ticking here. It's a 5-year window for the Meruelo family to secure a new venue. If they don't, I think the NHL can just kind of look the other way. Or maybe never come back to Arizona and the Valley. I think they want to, but they need proof that they can. They need a building. They need a venue to start going up. When they see that, that's basically the only thing they need to give Arizona the Coyotes back. So does this process, the land auction being canceled? I don't want to say canceled. Is it postponed? Or is it canceled? It's canceled for now. There's no future date. But how hard are these special use permits to get? How much legal and political wrangling needs to happen before those things can be in order? Is it another 6 months if they just can get that done and then try and win the land auction? There were also other questions about how many bidders were going to be in this land auction. What if now it takes another 6 to 8 months to get everything squared away, and then there's more bidders, and the Coyotes ultimately don't win the land auction? Then where are they? Back at square one all over again. So I'm not here to say that it's impossible the Coyotes don't come back, but this was a major blow. To have something lined up for so long, this was supposed to be the answer. This was supposed to be something attainable that the franchise could start building on and get moving with. And now they can't even buy the land. And it's crazy that they had renderings and plans for it and all that stuff, but not the actual approvals they needed, apparently, to even be a bidder and win that land auction. So, crazy follow-up video. I certainly did not expect to be making this video today based on yesterday. And so the land auction that we were looking forward to, actually the day right before the NHL draft starts on June 28th, it was supposed to be on the 27th. Now it's not happening then. Who knows if it will ever happen? But I'll keep on this story. I'll keep you updated on things as they happen. Until then, do me a quick favor, go down below, hit that thumbs up button since you made it here to the very end of this video. That helps me, this video, and this channel. And also, if you're just coming across me for the very first time, glad you found me, that's awesome. But I want to make sure you come back, and the best way to do that is to go down there and hit that subscribe button right now so I can definitely see you back here next time around.